My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Rimworld and our colony of the northeast Miskatonic. We're here with our 8 colonists. In the last episode we gained an extra 3 after converting Svetlana, recruiting Henry, and Q gave birth to her second daughter Haruka, and we now have a good blend of skills in our colony, which is always a nice thing to have as we're not having to overburden any particular colonists with too many tasks. Coming up we have a ritual opportunity soon. To perform that, however, we do need an animal to sacrifice, as the unnameable ablation does require an animal sacrifice, and we can just verify that here on our ideology screen. Yes, as you can see there, it's an animal sacrifice and it takes place on the 10th of December. So what we could do if we wanted to was try and tame an animal over the next day or two. We have 2 available, a bear and... no, they're both dead, so not those. Where's the other one gone? No, there it is, a bear and a rabbit. So I think we'll try and tame the snow hare. That's going to be the easiest of the 2 to tame and the less dangerous, shall we say. So we'll go for the hare. And all we're going to do with that, if we do manage to tame it, is of course we're just going to sacrifice it during the Nameless Ablation, and that should give us enough development points to start reforming our ideology. In the meantime, however, we have another quest which points to the Nameless Amulet. This is the worship screen, and there is a terminal at a tribal village. They will allow us to visit the terminal, but they will attack if we try to interact with it. I think we'll go for this. If it's only a tribal village, we shouldn't have any difficulty in handling the upset natives when we do try and hack the terminal. And we'll just have a look at the world map, and we'll see whereabouts on the map this tribal village is located. Hopefully it isn't too far away. Okay, as we can see here, it isn't a million miles away. It would take maybe a day or two's worth of travel to get there. So I think we'll, in the next couple of days, we will send people over there. We'll send about 3 colonists, and again, we'll probably send Hugh, Bourne, and Gabe to go and handle this. In the meantime, however, we are having issues with hypothermia. As we can see, Henry is starting to suffer from the effects of hypothermia. Not surprising, he's only equipped with a t-shirt. Because of that, I think it's time we made another parka for Henry. That should just help offset the worst of the temperatures, of course, and I think what we'll also do is we'll make a pair of trousers for Henry as well. Okay, the hypothermia has got so bad that Henry now needs rescuing. We'll send Gabe out there to rescue Henry and bring him back to some sort of safety. Hopefully he doesn't perish before we get there. Oh my days, the hypothermia is pretty bad. Okay, Henry has died. Well, so much for that. Right, what we're going to do then, we're not going to allow access to his corpse, at least temporarily, because we would like to go for the Yom Omlau burial ritual, which will also give us, I think it does give us some ideology points. So what we're going to do is we are going to progress with that. To achieve the burial of Yom Omlau, I have constructed, or I'm planning to construct, as we can see, a bone sarcophagus. That's where we will inter Henry, and that will be the focal point for the ritual. So, while it is a shame to lose Henry, it's not the end of the world, and hopefully we can still benefit from his death by getting those development points from the ceremony. So Henry is now being buried in the sarcophagus. And now we can start the burial of Yom Omlau for Henry. Expected quality of 100%. And if we do have a heartwarming burial, then we'll get +2 development points. The chances of a heartwarming one are 20%. Chances are, however, we'll get good, which would still give us 1 point. So let's begin this ceremony. This is the first full funeral we've ever conducted. Despite the fact we lost Izzy, rather than burying him, we decided to chop his corpse off and eat it. And indeed we did have a good burial, so we've gained a +5 mood for everybody and the development points from 9 to 10, so we can now reform our ideology. So let's take a moment and have a look at this here now. Okay, so I've taken a few moments and had a good look through a lot of the memes, and I was torn between a few options. The first one I thought about was fishing culture. As we know, in the shadow of Innsmouth, if you're familiar with the work, there's a big thing about fishing in that short story. Obviously, Innsmouth is a fishing town, and the people are obviously very interlinked with the Deep Ones, and as a result of that, their fishing industry does thrive. So fishing culture was something I'd considered. However, I don't think it really impacts the game too much, and I wanted to try and get something what might impact us a little bit further. I also thought about supremacist again, but it's only a low impact, so I disregarded that one. Likewise, xenophilia, because again, in the shadow of Innsmouth, the inhabitants of the town do interbreed with the Deep One creatures, so that would make sense from that perspective. A few others I considered were astrology, but you don't really gain much from that. Although saying that, having the mood dictated by the stars rather than our own actions would be quite interesting, and it would unlock a new ritual. So it's either that or violent conversion, which would unlock another ritual, of course, violent conversion. That's only something we could look to do when we had some prisoners on hand. Now that might be good because it might focus us more to actually capture or enslave more people. So I think on balance I am going to go for violent conversion. There we go. So now we can have a look at our precepts as well. Okay, so I've just added the precept insect jelly is loved. A lot of the Lovecraftian creatures are quite insectoid-like, and having the insect jelly as loved, in my mind, just nods towards that a little. I can't think of anything else on there that I'd be interested in looking for right now. As you can see here, we also have the new ritual violent conversion. That can be performed at any time, and as we know, it will be performed in the temple, and it can only be performed if we do have a prisoner on hand. But like I said a few moments ago, having this should encourage us to actually try and capture more prisoners. And there we go, that's our ideology reformed. The next ideology step requires 12 reformation points, and that's now been reset to 0 after our latest round of reforms, as we can see. So let's see what the changes bring to our colony. Okay, so I've just formed a caravan at base, and that's to head to the nearby village as part of the quest. And we are sending, well, I can't remember who we're sending. I think it was Born, Quinn, and Svetlana are heading out on this little quest. It's a 2.6 day journey time, so there and back will take us 5.2 days. So I've given them around about 5 days worth of food, because we should be able to scavenge some from the tribal village when we're there as well. So they will now gather all the supplies together and make their way over to the tribal village to complete the quest, hopefully without too much hassle or aggravation from the locals. We will have to fight them, that goes without saying. It will require a bit of combat, especially when we interact with the terminal at the village, but I think we should be able to hold our own. We have several muffalo on the map now. We have 5 in total, so I have asked for them to be hunted in the near future. The snowhare still requires taming. Looking at our work schedule, Amy looks like she would be our best candidate to tame the snowhare. So what are you up to at the moment, Amy? Okay, you're praying at Henry's grave, so, and you're now having a sermon. Once this sermon is completed, I think we're going to manually send Amy down to that snowhare in an effort to get it tamed, so we can perform this ritual that we have upcoming. Okay, Amy, now if you can... we need skill level 7. And I don't think any of our colonists are that skilled at animal handling. 3, 4, 6, 2, and 2. No, so taming the snow hare is out of the question, unfortunately. What does it take to tame a muffalo exactly? Let's see here. Probably a little bit more. Oh no, we can tame a muffalo. Okay, well in that case, Amy, if you could prioritise taming the muffalo. Of course, we can just slaughter the muffalo instead of the snow hare. It makes no big difference to us, really. And if we can tame the muffalo, then why wouldn't we? Especially if we can then get this little ceremony conducted sooner rather than later. Meanwhile, Q and Haruka are hunting the rest of the herd. We have one down, as we can see. Fantastic. We managed to tame the muffalo on the first attempt. So what we can do now is we can perform the unnameable ablation. Now let's see where we would actually perform this. Is it at this ideogram? Indeed it is. So in 9 hours time we will slaughter the muffalo and conduct our next ceremony for our another batch of ideology reformation points. Yes, there's no pen for the muffalo, we know that, and I'm not concerned by that because it's going to be slaughtered in the next few hours anyway. Our caravan is about halfway towards their destination now, which is good. We'll pick that back up obviously once they do arrive. Right, we've just had a cargo pod crash down quite close to the base, and it actually contains 19 units of painkillers, so we will be hauling those back. They could come in handy for us in the future, of course. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our caravan has now arrived at the worshipful village, so let's jump over to the location now. Okay, so here's the village. The terminal is located somewhere. Oh, there it is. And there are quite a few inhabitants of this village. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it could be a close firefight. We have one armed with a crossbow. One is armed with a recurve bow. Another recurve bow there. Sling and a crossbow. Knives, longbow and crossbow. So we have quite a lot of ranged weaponry here, so handling this in a firefight could prove quite interesting. Okay, so that's our colonists in position. Now, no lie, I have tested this a few times to see what sort of strategy would work best, and I'm afraid to say I think the strategy of turning tail and running away and coming back with a few more reinforcements is the only viable option. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to leave. So yes, we're going to reform the caravan, head home, and then we will come back when we have a little bit more firepower on our side, because I wasn't anticipating that many people to be present at the tribal village. So yes, reform the caravan and head home, please. So the quest has failed, as we can see, so be it. Okay, so for some reason I was never able to start the unnameable ablation, which is very frustrating. So we now have a muffalo for no good reason. So what we're going to do instead is sacrifice the muffalo to Shib-Nagurath. So yes, sacrifice the muffalo 1, and at least then we get something for it and we get some sort of sacrifice. So let's begin. Not sure why the unnameable ablation wouldn't work, but yes, there you go. Don't know if I was doing something wrong, but we have the muffalo, we have the focus center, and it's just greyed out, and it was greyed out before as well. Despite it being the 10th of December, which is the day of the unnameable ablation. Well, Amy and Q just had a fight. I'm sure Shib-Nagurath is pleased by that. But there we go. The death of the muffalo via cutting in the animal sacrifice. And let's see what sort of impact that has had on our standing. Well, we're still watched, which is tier 2. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, Q is once again pregnant. So this could be our 3rd child of the colony. alongside Haruka and Quinn. So let's see over the next coming days and months who we have joining us in the form of our third child. Nice to have a little family growing, of course, and we do have the spare room now that Henry has died from the hypothermia a few weeks ago. As you can see here, we have finally constructed the geothermal generator around the second vent. What we're doing now is just putting down the conduit to link it into the network. Speaking of which, we have had a short circuit, so that's all the energy from the batteries now dissipated. And the short circuit occurred here, so we do have a bit of a fire, which is being dealt with already, but I've already sent Haruka on the way. There we go. Now, what's it done for the power in here? Okay, nothing really. So once again, that's another zit that we managed to get away with. It could have been far worse. An anima pod sprout has arrived nearby over here, as we can see. I don't think we're ever going to do anything with the anima pods and the anima trees, but there we go. Oh, Gabe and Q are getting married. What a happy ending. So expecting her third child and now getting married to her love, Gabe. Wonderful. Okay, so our caravan have beaten the hasty retreat and they have now returned to Innsmouth. As I said, perhaps it was a little bit cheaty to try it several times, but I tried all sorts of different strategies and nothing that I put together seemed to work without at least suffering 2 deaths to our colonists. Something which was a price I just wasn't prepared to pay, so I beg your forgiveness for that. I think I've learnt my lesson there. Next time we go on one of those sort of quests, we're going to be a bit more heavily armoured, whether that be in terms of the amount of people we send, or indeed the armour that we equip our colonists with. And I think with Gabe and Q now married, with our caravan back at home base, and with a third child soon to be expected, I think this is a good time to end today's episode. So I hope you've enjoyed it. It could have been a lot better, I think, especially had I been a bit more prepared for the battle against the 9 or 10 tribal colonists, all of whom, as we know, were armed with ranged weaponry, which never really helps either. Yes, but there we go. Lesson learnt on that front. And I didn't think completing that quest was worth the lives of at least 2 of our colonists, especially not the ones we'd sent. Bourne and Quinn I've become quite attached to. Svetlana, neither here nor there yet with Svetlana. She's only a new member to the colony, of course, so there's no emotional attachment to her yet. But there we go. So thank you very much for watching. All that remains for me to say is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.